Hello, everyone. This is Chala, CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert, coming to you live with another Tuesday Tea Time with Chala. Let me just take a sip of my protein. I am live, and guess what? It's starting to get cold. I can't believe it. I had to wear something over like a smaller shirt that I wore to the gym. And here we are. It is, October, and it's getting cold, and it's conference season. So I'm going next week to New York City to a conference called She Leads. And it's going to be amazing 2-day extravaganza with a VIP. And I'm going to be doing executive roundtable with the help of WeBank. It's just a lot in store. It's just really exciting. I'm so glad to have the opportunity to be able to meet new women business owners in New York City, to reconnect with some old friends and old clients. It's just a whirlwind. I mean, it's going to be fun. So all I ever talk about is how to get into corporations. And you know what? When I do the research, when I know why, but when I do the research, the numbers don't lie. And they tell me that it's almost twice as profitable to sell to corporations as to individuals. Like B2B is way more profitable than B2C. So for those of you who are already in my, in my follower list, in my friend list, and in my community, you already know this because this is all I talk about and this is what I teach. So I'm going to be teaching more about how to crack the corporate code to get in, because if you're trying to get into bigger corporations, if you're trying to get into corporations, period, like one of the women who wanted to attend the roundtable where we share peer sharing of success stories of how we cracked the corporate code and landed a large corporate client. And she's in the real estate industry and she's trying to get into the corporate client, but she has zero experience. So that's what that's about, is that cracking the code is speaking in a lot of ways their language. So let me take you through some of the ways, some of the considerations that you have to have before being able to get in and sell to larger corporations. So the first is speak their language, but don't sound like a robot. So when I say speak their language, this is where I'm insisting on my clients picking an industry or an interest group, because especially if B2B, when you pick an industry, they have their own vernacular, they have their own acronyms, they have their own language, they have their own shortcuts and terms. Now, I'm not suggesting that all of your marketing is in that language, but certainly if you are able to and willing to talk to them in that language, if you're able to and willing to understand that language and specialize in that industry and specialize in that language, they're going to feel like you're one of them. So you have to speak their language. And actually, it's in some of the notes that I made in how to crack the insider, how to crack the corporate code, is that their language is often in numbers. And we're going to get to that. But learn the vernacular, learn their method, their terminology, and learn what sounds good to them. Number 2 is solve problems they know they have. So this is a bit contentious, because I've heard a lot of experts and gurus and coaches saying, find a problem they didn't know existed. And I've had clients who have actually been trying to educate their prospects about how much a problem costs. And you know what? It is hard, heavy lifting. What I want instead is for you to base your marketing and your positioning on a bleeding, a well-known, well-searched, well-talked about, and really huge, expensive pain point. And it has to be known, and they have to be thinking about it and talking about it 24/7, not being able to, that classic can't sleep at night. That's what I want for you, is for you to be niched in something that they know they have a problem with. Now, you could be selling a solution to something they didn't know they had a problem with, but you have to couch the hook into what they think is the problem, what they are searching for a solution, because even your SEO won't match. And I've had so many examples of this with both clients and seeing case studies where if somebody believes that this is the actual problem, and they know that it's the actual problem because they're too close to the problem, they live that problem, but nobody in the market is looking for a solution to that problem. You have to go where the money is, and you have to go where people's minds are. You have to meet them where they are. Okay, so solve problems they know they have. Number 3 is customize, customize, customize. Everything from your quotes to your RFPs, to your presentations, to your emails, to even your automated stuff has to be as customized as you can get it for these people. AI is now able to be taught everything about a certain industry and that prospect and their competitors. And once you teach it things, all these things, you give it the data, it's like a feeding machine. You feed the data, and it learns like a child. It learns and learns. And what you do is you customize your output, your suggestions, all the things that I just mentioned, your messaging, your emails, your presentations, and everything is to them, speaking in their language, in their pain, in their world. Custom, custom, custom. So now you don't have to do the heavy lifting of trying to find 1,000 points of data, gather them from all these different kinds of software and tools, and LinkedIn and YouTube and Amazon comments. There are very sophisticated and very easy to use AI tools who are doing that. I talk a lot about AI lately because I am fully immersed in bringing my skill set up with respect to what AI to use for my clients, and we're already using it and getting amazing results. So that's what I want for you. And so customize using AI, no more generic. Even if you have the same presentation, you have to almost throw it out and re-look at every industry that you're presenting to, because you have to customize the problems that you're talking about. You have to customize it to the language that they need. You have to customize it to the case studies and the success stories and the results that they're looking for, according to what their size and industry and their specific niche is. You have to be very, very custom. And the good news is now you can do that very easily with almost one click of a button through using AI tools. Number 4 way to crack the corporate code to get in and sell to them is use numbers. That is almost their language. And I often talk about, in one of my presentations, I talk about Monty Roberts, who was the horse whisperer, the original horse whisperer, not the Robert Redford, sad movie where I almost gave away the ending. But and I think I already did because I said it was sad. But anyway. So the horse whisperer, Monty Roberts, his dad was the original, was a horse breaker. He lived on a horse farm. And the way that they gentled animals from the wild, horses from the wild, was they would tie the back leg to the actual back and just buck in pain for days and days and days until it just stopped, gave up and stopped bucking and became gentle enough to ride for, the farm chores. And it was very painful, both for the animals wouldn't get injured and the horse breakers wouldn't get injured. And it would take a very long time. And it broke his heart as a child to see that. And when he was just watching female horses in the wild, what he saw was that they developed a language. They had a language with their herd, and they would face square on, shoulders straight, and they would face the males. This is the alpha female, who's the head of the pack, would face the males and would have a series of things that she did. She would come close and go away again. She would come close to touching and go away again, and so on. So he, figured out what they were doing, and he actually mimicked it, even as a human, and it worked. And he called that language equus. And I often use that analogy in my presentations when I'm telling you that you need to speak equus to the corporations. And the corporate equus, this, equine language of what they understand, is ROI. They understand KPIs and benchmarks and percentages and increases and, what was before and what was after. Awards, but what they want most of all is they want to know about the money. They want to speak numbers, and they want solid solid before and after measures. So if you and stats, like their language is numbers. So part of how to crack the corporate code is to stop talking about there was a significant increase. No, tell me what the percentages were. And when I do work with clients, they often don't know what the improvement was before and after due to their help and their service. And that's one of the first things that they have to do is either they have to go back to the client and ask if they themselves track it, which you should be tracking everything, right? But if they haven't tracked it, then they ask their next client to do a pre and post evaluation, even if it's a qualitative evaluation. It could be, how likely are your clients to buy from you, or how likely are your prospects now to buy from you on a scale of 1 to 10. You give them the pre, before you start working with them, and then you give them the post after, and then you use this in a case study. So, 100% improvement in score, whatever that is. So you have to use numbers, use specific numbers, ROI, and back it up. All right. And lastly, last way to crack the corporate code is make it easy for them to say yes. Now, what are some of the things that make it hard for a corporation to say yes? Is one, they don't know you from Adam, and they can't trust you because everything online about you, first of all, there isn't anything online about you, or there isn't enough, or it makes you look too small. So that's one of the things. You have to look bigger than you are. You have to have testimonials. You have to have visibility. You have to have thought leadership. When they Google you, they have to be able to find some form of publication, some form of opinion, some interview, guest podcast, you name it. So that's one thing you need to do, that visibility, that safe feeling, right? The next is you have to know the buying process. I can't talk for I better start drinking. I know it's later than usual. It's like 5:30. One of the first things that we do with clients when they're interviewing their prospects is to ask about the decision tree. Who else needs to be involved? Who buys what first? How many people are in the buying team? What departments are involved? If we don't understand the buying process for that size and industry, we can't replicate our efforts and our targeting. So make it easy for them to say yes by knowing already who needs to be involved, who can be, the person that's going to stop us from getting this sale, and who do we need to invite into our final sales meetings. Okay. The other piece is what could be the potential objections. And AI has been so good at coming up with these. I know, and I could come up with some objections. And, there is usually the same old objections, but they are so good at coming up with a comprehensive list. And some of them are ones that you may not have even thought about. So I love now all the tools in AI to ask about what are the potential buyer objections once you train them on your business, your competitors, your clients, all of that. Those avatars are going to go in there. And then, of course, another way to lower the risk of working with a corporation is to what I call popcorn your way in. So offer them pilots, smaller projects, a hook project of just helping with a very tiny piece of what their immediate bleeding pain point is, and then to cross-sell and upsell. So those are some of the ways that I think you can crack the corporate code and get to twice the profitability as a B2C company. And you never ever have to look back, because once you have one large corporation under your belt, then you get more and more and more and more, and you gain the credibility. You look bigger than you are, and that's how you cracked it. So that's what I want for you, everyone. If you're going to be in the New York area, please let me know. We're doing the executive roundtable on the October 18th, and we're going to be sharing peer stories. And these are WBE CEOs who are going to be telling us how they cracked the corporate code and how they landed larger corporate contracts. And we're going to learn from each other. I can't wait to see you, and I'll talk to you next week. All the best.